Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the United Community Channel. And we are back with another live stream. And today, it's a different kind of a video, but I tell you, I'm really looking forward to it. Today, we are talking about the current Manchester United squad, the squad that Erik Ten Hag is after basically inheriting, and we're going to go through the current squad and see what players he should keep, what players he should sell, and all around general discussion about the current Manchester United squad and what Ten Hag should do. We'll also have some transfer news as well that we're going to get into. Not a lot that we don't really know over the last few days. One or two maybe additional bits of information that we'll certainly get into. But yeah, I mean, we're just going to have a chat and see what everyone thinks about, the Manchester United squad. I suppose in relation to transfer news as well, we're going to be talking about a number of different things. Obviously, there's been small updates on Frankie de Jong. Not an awful lot, but certainly one or two things that we can talk about and discuss. We're going to talk about a potential link between Villarreal and Manchester United in relation to their winger, Danjuma. Small links there. We're also going to talk about centre back. We're going to talk about some outgoings. Again, Edison Cavani has been linked. We do know he's going to be leaving as well, so we're going to talk about that as well. But yeah, I mean, let's get straight into it. There's already people in the chat there saying sell most if we could, says Thomas. So absolutely. But look, we'll get into it player by player and see how we get on. I see Alex is in the chat there as well on YouTube. Good to see you as well, Alex. But yeah, I suppose let's get right into it. In relation to the current Manchester United squad, I mean, obviously we're going to have to start with goalkeeper, and goalkeeper is basically one of the I suppose most discussed positions for Manchester United over the last maybe 12 to 18 months. So, I think it's going to be interesting to see what Ten Hag does. Obviously, everything I'm going to say here is just my own opinion, so we'll see what everyone else thinks about it. But let's start with David De Gea in goal. Should he stay? Should he go? To be honest, I think he's going to stay. I think he should stay. I think that in relation to having a goalkeeper, I suppose in terms of the goalkeeping area, I don't think it's the most concerning of positions at the moment for Manchester United. They do have a lot more areas that they're looking to strengthen in. I think maybe long term, 2-3 years down the line, I don't think David De Gea is the long term choice, and I would certainly be, as long as certain areas can be maybe improved, different areas that need to be improved, then I think we should look at that first. But as of now, I would 100% keep David De Gea. And then obviously we have Dean Henderson that comes into every conversation when we're mentioning De Gea. And I think in relation to Dean Henderson, I mean, he did get a run under Solskjaer and he did make some mistakes. Now he did have a fairly successful spell, obviously, with Sheffield United, and he came back then to Manchester United basically with the promise of game time under Solskjaer. So would I keep Dean Henderson? I mean, I wouldn't be against keeping him. Let's put it that way. If he does stay, I would like to see him get a prolonged spell in the squad, because there's a lot of talk that Henderson is a better player than De Gea, and I think I was listening to a podcast the other day, and as well it said that Dean Henderson mightn't be better than David De Gea, but he thinks he is, and he believes he is. So that in itself can be a pretty good thing in relation to, a Manchester United player. He does certainly not lack confidence. But my own personal opinion, I think it's time for him to go. I would potentially sell him, and the reason why I would sell him would be because we are looking to generate funds to get transfers and to get signings into the club this summer. So, you could easily get 20 to 30 million for Dean Henderson, which would go a long way in terms of potentially buying new players, for the squad. And we do need to buy, a vast number of players as well. So, for that reason, I would sell Dean Henderson. I think it's time for him to go. But yeah. So yeah, for me, keep De Gea, sell Dean Henderson. Obviously, there is two other goalkeepers there that I'm not really going to discuss. Tom Heaton, Lee Grant. I don't think they really come into the situation whether they stay or not. I think they're both just picking up a paycheck. They haven't really contributed at all. Let's see what some people are saying here. Pretty Talks United 97 sent 3 roses. I really appreciate the gifts there. Thanks a lot. Dargo says new top every night. The Townie 25 says Deadwood is a must get rid of. I presume you're talking Greenwood there, yeah, but I'll certainly get onto him. And Roshan says, do you think we should switch Ronaldo and Pogba around? In terms of one goes, one stays, I'd certainly keep Ronaldo above Paul Pogba, absolutely. And David Walsh says, we need a right back and centre back, CDM striker, and a backup keeper. Yeah, I agree 100% there, David. And then Davy Allen says, no worries me when Ten Hag says Maguire is a great player. Yeah, I was kind of listening back to that, and I don't know if he got confused whether he was actually talking about Maguire or Ronaldo, because there was questions thrown at him very close together about both of them. So I don't know if he got one confused with the other. VYBEZ says, hey, what's your score prediction for the Champions League final? God, that's a good one. I haven't really given it much thought yet. I think Liverpool on paper are too good for Real Madrid. I think they will beat them. I would go 2-1. But again, I've said it numerous occasions now, and anyone else has been watching the lives, Real Madrid have this kind of love and grasp for that Champions League that I don't see them giving it up easy, but it's certainly going to be a great game. Gavin says, how are you, boss? Good to see you, Gavin. And football.sports says, can I go live with you? I'm going to keep it on my own for the first while, but once I get into the swing of things, maybe in the new year or new season, we'll look into maybe something like that. And Tommy says Maguire is a good player. Look, in terms of Maguire, let's get on to the defenders here now. I'm going to start centre back. So we'll start with Victor Lindelof. And me personally, I would keep Victor Lindelof. I think he is a good defender. I think he would make a good squad player. And I mean, even the times over the last number of seasons when maybe he hasn't been getting I suppose a good run of games, he tends to not complain. He doesn't seem too pissed off that if he's not starting. So I think for that reason, I definitely keep him. And I think he is a good ball playing defender, and we will I think he could potentially be a player that can improve under Ten Hag, so I'd certainly keep him. Albie is in. Good to see you again, Albie. Alright, Jack, I know it's going to take up to 2 hours for the full clear out, or 2 years, sorry, for the full clear out, but here's mine. Fred, Lindelof, Bailly, Wan-Bissaka, Twanzebe, Telles, Dalot, Jones, Henderson, and if Greenwood is proved guilty, he's gone too. Yeah, well, look, absolutely a lot of players there. I don't see them all going into 1 year, and like you're dead right in what you said with 2 years there. I do think it is going to take 2 summers for Ten Hag to really put his mould and his shape onto the current United squad. And Reggie says, please discuss Tai Chong. Yeah, I'm going to get onto him as well, absolutely. So next on the list we have Erik Bailly. I think it's time for Erik Bailly to go. As much as I like him as a defender, I think he's, I like a blood and guts defender, and I think that's what he is. But I think he's certainly too injury prone. He's had a lot of injuries, and in a way, I don't like the way he came out and publicly gave out about the fact that he wasn't playing ahead of Maguire. That's something that I didn't really like. But I certainly do rate him, but I think it's time for him to go. Again, he was given a contract extension on false promises that he was going to get game time, and it just never happened. So, and I think once he came out and kind of started, that smiley face he had when, why isn't he getting game time ahead of Maguire? I think Ranić instantly just, lost all respect or trust in him, and I think that's why maybe he didn't get games. But yeah, I think he'll go. Next then we have Phil Jones. I think Phil Jones is going to go. I think he should go for his own career, to be honest with you. I mean, he's him and De Gea are the only 2 players left from the Ferguson era, and I mean he does have more. He does have the same amount of Premier League medals as Liverpool Football Club, and he has the same amount of Champions League medals as Manchester City Football Club. So, but I think it's time for him to go. Absolutely, I think he's been there long enough now, and he hasn't really been getting game time. Let's see what people are saying. Let's see. This is a shocking Real Madrid side 4-1 Liverpool, says Tommy. Let's see. And let me just turn off them invites. Gavin says, what's your ideal lineup for next year? I'll get into it towards the end, Gavin, but I do think that we need 4 or 5 signings, definitely, given the fact that we're going to be getting rid of, so many players, supposedly. Fullbacks aren't great. Centre-backs always have room for errors. Completely depends on Benzema. Yes, they're talking about the Champions League there. But yeah, Albi says, obviously Pogba, Mata, Matic and Lingard are already gone, so that's why I didn't mention them. But what you make of the press conference yesterday, I was impressed. Yeah, I was very impressed with Ten Hag's press conference. I think he's to the point. I like the way he protected his... First of all, he protected the club, he protected his own ideas, and he protected his players all in the one press conference straight away. Given the fact that, he was asked, what role do you think Ronaldo will have in the team in terms of, being a leader and stuff like that. And he basically just came out and said, I'm going to speak to Ronaldo first, and then I'll speak to ye, which I thought was brilliant. So I think... I think he's already protecting these players there, and he's going to... He's kind of putting the marker down that he's not going to be running to the press, and he does want to keep a tight ship, and he doesn't want leaks and things like that. So I think it's fantastic. He's trying to keep everything in house. Albie says, love that about Jones. Good lad. Appreciate it. Yeah, well, that's the kind of thing I think of. Right, okay, so we have one centre-back left to discuss, and obviously the main one is Harry Maguire, and whether he should stay or go. Obviously, let me know what you guys think in the chat as I'm discussing these players, but I think Harry Maguire will stay. I think he, again, could... I think if we get a centre-back into Manchester United in the summer, it does look like Jurrien Timber is getting very close. So... in my opinion, if we can keep Varane fit, I think him and Timber will be our main centre-backs. That doesn't mean that I don't think Harry Maguire can improve. I think he can, and he'll give us options in terms of playing different formations. I think he is quite a good centre-back in relation to playing as a back three, and I think that's why he plays so well for England all the time. So I would certainly be looking to keep him for at least next season and see how his form improves. So I'd definitely be one for keeping Harry Maguire. Let's have a look and see what people are saying. Andrew says, nice to see a grown man playing pretend sports pundit. No problem, Andrew. You just go off there now and do something more productive rather than giving out about everyone else. Twig says, keeper sell Fernandes. I'm going to get on to Fernandes. He's one of the main top minds, so we're just getting through the defence here now first, but I will certainly get on to him. Tommy says, Maguire plus new centre-back is greater than Varane plus new centre-back. All right, well, that's an interesting point. So if we move on to fullbacks, then we have, obviously, I mentioned Varane. I think he's going to say, so I'm not going to go too much into him. Absolutely, he's our best defender at the moment, so in my opinion, I'll be keeping him. Diogo Dalot, I think he should stay. I think, again, he could be a player that could potentially improve under Ten Hag. So I don't think he's going to be the long-term option. Obviously, we are looking to recruit a fullback in the summer, so there will be competition there for whoever comes in. But I think he will stay, and then I think Wan-Bissaka is going to be maybe the right back to part ways with United this summer. There is a lot of talk about it, and it's come out very early, even since Ten Hag took over, that there is links with him for other clubs, and the club seem to be open and to him moving away. So I don't think he's good enough, and it hasn't worked out. So I in terms of Wan-Bissaka, I would be thinking he is. It's time for him to go, and maybe keep Dalot for another season and see what way he can potentially improve. Killian says, well, lad, do you think we'll get both Torres and Timber? Sorry if you've already spoke about it. No, I haven't spoke about it. I think we're more likely to get, according to, I'm just going off, I always just go off of what I read, and I read an awful lot, and I read certain reports from journalists in England and things like that, and I put my own kind of ideas together. But I think one centre-back is probably all we're going to do. I think the discussions between the potential or the so-called discussions between Manchester United and Pau Torres as representatives, I think could potentially only be a backup in case the Timber deal falls through. Now, look, who knows? I think Manchester United will certainly be looking to put maybe markers down and could potentially make a move for him. But I would be surprised if we got two centre backs. I think we're more than likely going to get one centre back and one full back, and then push on then and maybe potentially sign two centre midfielders, maybe and let's see other people then. Think Timber is too small for centre back. Think he can play a right back too. I don't think he's too small for centre back, to be honest. I think there's been a lot of centre backs that aren't overly tall, and I think if you can create a good partnership with the other centre back you have, absolutely. I think height doesn't really come into it. If you can read the game very well, I personally play centre back myself, a lot throughout my career, and I'm not overly tall. I'm only 5'9", and if you can read the game, you don't really have to challenge and win headers and things like that. But again, look, I totally get your point, 100%. Reggie says, Tellez and Dallo are weak defensively and lack intelligence with their crossing and positioning. I take Max Aarons, yeah. And I'm going to get on to Max Aarons as well, because he's someone who we have been linked with recently. So Luke Shaw and Alex Tellez. And obviously we have to keep one and sell one, or potentially we could keep both. In my opinion, I would sell Alex Tellez. I just think he hasn't been good enough. Absolutely nowhere near it this season. And I mean, when it comes to Luke Shaw, Luke Shaw can be one of the best left backs in the world one day, and for 6 games after it, he can be atrocious. So I think if Luke Shaw can get his act together and put in, performances that he is capable of, I think absolutely he can make that left back position his own. We do have the likes of Brandon Williams that is potentially going to be coming back to the club. Now, there has been links with him, with a move away. I would personally love to keep him because he can play right back and left back, and I think he did get a good run of games under Solskjaer, and I think his performances under Solskjaer were actually better than Alex Tellez's performances were this year. So I think he should maybe stay, yeah, and I'd keep Luke Shaw. So moving on to the midfield, obviously Paul Pogba is leaving, and you know my stance on that. I'm happy he is going. So we can skip right over him. We'll get through some of the chats here before we go. Make sure you smash a like on the video as well, guys, if you haven't already done so. I really appreciate it. We have nearly 2,000 likes on TikTok there as well, so keep smashing that like button. I really appreciate it. It gets us out to more people. Superfast is in and said, I think we are getting 2 centre-backs, Timber and another, probably Torres. Timber to transition from right back. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm not really sure. We're certainly going to sign 2 defenders. Myself personally, I think maybe 1 centre back, 1 right back. But again, we'll find that out as it goes. And football.sports says, what right back would you go for? It's not going to be English, in my opinion. Well, there's potentially 3 there. Max Aarons, again, we've been linked to today, and I'll get into that in a little while. Max Aarons, Spence from Nottingham Forest. Again, if they come up, he could potentially stay for another year. You have Lamptey at Brighton, who's had a great season, so he won't be the cheapest of the 3, but there certainly is options out there. And Owen is in and said, do you think we'll sign Salah? Absolutely not. And Sam says, what do you think is the most likely signing and best signing possible? The most likely one at the moment is Jurrien Timber. It seems to be the most progressed at the moment, and I would be surprised if he wasn't the first one to come in. And the best possible signing I would like personally would be Nkunku from Leipzig. I think he's fantastic. He can play anywhere across the front as a winger, as a centre attacking midfielder, as a striker. I think he'd be absolutely the best one we could have. Killian says, if Henderson is sold, if Henderson is sold, would you put a buyback clause in? It would be no harm, and I think they'd be foolish not to, Killian. It's a great point. I think if he is, he's going to go for money, and maybe United will certainly have a sell on clause, if not a buyback clause. And on YouTube, then we have Reggie is saying promote Alvaro Fernandez. Absolutely. In relation to the youth, Fernandez, Hannibal, all of them, I do think they'll stay, but I do think maybe they could, one or two of them could go out on loan. But again, we'll get into it. Albie says, I want Maguire to stay as a squad player. Options in a tree. Yeah, Varane loves a niggle, so Maguire, if he gets his game together and with better protection, will play a lot of games next season. And he also says, I take your point about a centre half doesn't have to be big, but Lindelof gets bullied too much for me, so I want him gone. He's a good lad, no doubt, but not a top four centre half, let alone a United centre half. And look, I do agree with you there, Albie. Absolutely. I just think we can't get rid of all of our players, and I think if we are to get rid of, Jones is going, Bailly is going. So I think, and if we're only getting one more in, I think Lindelof would have to stay, because that would give us four centre backs then. Three centre backs currently there: Maguire, Lindelof, and Varane, with another centre back then coming in. So absolutely. And let's see what else we have here. Twiggs says Fernandez, De Gea, Fred, and Ronnie should 100% stay. Yep, I agree with you there. Stephen followed. Appreciate the follow there, Stephen. Ralphman says Rashford's got to go. We'll get on to Rashford as well. And Superfast says, when you say Timber will be main centre back, I disagree. Inexperienced in Prem, not filled out, unfair on him. Yeah, look, and that's totally understandable. And you do make a great point there, 100%. I just think, in what I'm kind of saying is that I think the reason Ten Hag is going to buy him would be to play him as a centre back. But look, I could be totally wrong. That's just what I'm thinking myself personally. But the fact that he can play both positions is absolutely no harm. So the more options we can get, the better. What's up with Maguire, Varane? Says Ralph. I know, and then you said they cost us 140 million. And look, obviously Maguire was the big one there, but Varane, there's no doubt in his quality. It's just if we can keep him fit, I think is the main thing there. Superfast says we're not heavily linked to any right back though. Every position we have strong reports, hence Timber right back in my opinion. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you there. I think potentially we could look at, Spence has been linked with United vaguely, and I think once the playoff final has its conclusion on the weekend, I think maybe reports could pick up very quick about him, especially if Nottingham Forest don't get promoted. Twig says, unrelated, but who do you think Dybala is going to? I think, did I hear a report that he could potentially go into Roma? It does look like he's going to stay in Italy. Is it Roma or maybe one of the Milan clubs? I did hear, but I haven't really been keeping an eye on it. Polly is in and says, good evening, bud. Hope you're well. Looking forward to the incoming signings. What about Ziyech? Yeah, I mean, he's certainly an option. I don't think that United have been scouting him an awful lot. Again, reports today have suggested that United have been linked with Villarreal's Villarreal's winger Danjuma. So, reports initially were Anthony, and I think maybe this Danjuma rumour could potentially be another option, so but absolutely it'll be interesting. So let's get on to the midfield then. We're going to start, obviously we said Paul Pogba, he's going to be leaving, so we'll skip over him. Fred is next. So in my opinion, I think, and I've said this a number of times on some of the streams and some of my videos, that I think Fred is one of the players who could potentially improve an awful lot under Ten Hag. Ten Hag likes a high pressing midfielder with plenty of energy. Fred is not the biggest player in the world, but he can cover the ground pretty fast. So I think he's a player that Ten Hag will use a lot. So I wouldn't be awfully surprised if he does get good game time next year. So and that would as well, if we only do sign one centre midfielder in the summer, then I think Fred's game time will he will get game time. So at best I do see him as a squad player, but I would certainly keep Fred. Bruno Fernandes is next then, and this is a tricky one with fans, because and I see a lot of people here asking about him already, and should he stay, should he go? Me personally, I think he should stay. I think obviously his performances have dropped off a cliff in recent weeks, coming to the end of the season. And I think ever since he signed his contract, his performances have just disappeared, really. But let's not be under any illusions here. His performances before that, for the bones of 18 months, were pretty consistent, and he was playing pretty well. His goal involvements are unbelievable. And, obviously that first season where he came, he scored an awful lot of goals. So I would absolutely be keeping Bruno Fernandes. I think he's gone through a bad patch, at the second half of the season. But, I think he is someone who he does need to. The one thing I would say about him though is he does need to simplify his game a lot. I think and if anyone who watches my lives, you can see I get very frustrated with him at times because he tries these Hollywood passes and he tries, that goal or that crossfield pass that he gave against Crystal Palace that led to the goal was just criminal. So I think he needs to simplify his game. I think Ten Hag will demand that he simplifies his game, and if he doesn't, I think he'll be sitting on the bench. Especially when the likes of Donny van de Beek is going to be coming back. And I'm not for any minute suggesting that maybe Donny is better or worse than Bruno Fernandes, but we know for certain that Donny will carry out Ten Hag's game plan to the letter of the law because he's done it already with Ajax. So if Fernandes doesn't get his act together and does what Ten Hag wants him to do, then he'll be out and Van de Beek will be in my opinion. Let's see what some of the people are saying here. Johnny says, do you think James Garner will get a chance next season? I think he will. Again, I think it may depend on Nottingham Forest and whether they get promoted or not. I certainly think he's good enough to be in the Manchester United squad. I don't think he would be starting every week, but I think certainly he could be a player that could play 15 or 20 games in a season. Maybe more, 25 games, given cup competitions in Europa League. Absolutely, I would. I'd be keeping James Garner. Absolutely. Thoughts on Serbian lad with Lazio, the CDM, Milinkovic Savic, I think, is it? When I heard we were linked with him again, I was saying to myself, I just felt like we were back in 2017 again. We've been linked with this lad for 5 years, and it just seems to be anytime he's looking for a move or looking for a new contract, he gets linked with Manchester United, and we're pawns for him to get more money. So I don't want him. I think it's time has passed, and I don't think we'll be signing him. And Football Sports says, I don't think Dallo is good enough, to be honest. Had a few good games. Yeah, had a few, but again, look, we do have to realise in what we're saying about any current players here is that they are playing in a poor Manchester United side, and the dressing room has been all over the place. And, a lot of the players that have been playing bad this season, if we can clear out some of the deadwood, get a clear philosophy in place going forward, I think absolutely a lot of these players can improve. Let's see. Superfast says Fred equals bench. Fred will be a good squad player, just not a starter. Yeah, look, I agree there with you guys, 100%. But I think Ten Hag will use him more than we actually think. Batman Solo says, I'm done supporting United. I'm taking my fandom to Liverpool. Time to win some trophies. Well, don't you ever come onto my stream again. What's happening with the great sulker Martial? Yeah, and Martial is a player that I was going to get into again today. It does seem that he's going to be coming back to Manchester United in the summer. Obviously, Sevilla have said they're not going to be making a move for him. They're going to be sending him back to Manchester United, and they don't want to make the move permanent. So Martial is coming back, and look, it's up to Ten Hag then to see what happens with him. I do think it's time for him to go. I think he is one of these players that we can get money in the door for, that we can then reinvest into buying new players for the squad. So I would be for Martial to go. Reggie says, you're right in keeping Fred as a squad player. It shows a big club mentality. We should promote Garner, buy Eriksson or Barkley, Kessie and De Jong, and sell McTominay. Yeah, all good points there, Reggie. Absolutely. Jonathan is in, and he says, we will drink a to Erik, the kinga, the saviour of. Excellent. And what are people saying here? Twigs is saying, my connection cut out, so I didn't hear what you said about the Dybala thing. Yeah, I don't think he's going to come to United. I think he's potentially going to go to Roma or one of the Milan clubs by all accounts. So I'd be surprised if he even came to England. Superfast says, even if Rashford regains form, he will struggle under Ten Hag, not technically good enough. He's only good for counter football, Ole and Jose. And Twigs says, Martial is pure dosser. I can't see him in the United kit. And says, hope you're right. So let's keep it going. Obviously, we move on then to Nemanja Matic. He's obviously leaving, so we'll skip over him. Scott McTominay, I think, in my opinion, I think we should sell him. I don't think he will be sold, but I just don't think he's good enough. He is a squad player at the very, very best. Now, obviously, we do need to sign centre backs or centre midfielders before we can let centre midfielders go. So, but I think if not this summer, then potentially next summer. I'd say next summer more so, because I just don't think he's good enough. I think he's too slow. I love his passion and his heart, and he loves the club, and you can't take that away from him, but I just don't think he's good enough. Now, on to, we have obviously Hannibal is the next midfielder there that's on the list. Obviously, we're not going to be selling Hannibal. I think he is a fantastic prospect. It's going to be interesting to see whether we get maybe a winger into the club in the summer. If we do, I think potentially a loan move mightn't be bad for him, depending on game time. I do certainly think he is good enough for 15 to 20 games a season, maybe substitutions, things like that. But yeah, absolutely has the potential to be a first team starter in the coming couple of years, without a doubt. Next is Juan Mata, and he's going to be leaving, so we'll skip over him. We have Palestri. Then is another youth player. I think for him, I think it would be good for him to get some minutes on loan somewhere. Obviously, you see the likes of James Garner and what he's done. He's ripped it up in the championship this year. So absolutely, I think he should get some game time maybe as a loanee. We have Garnacho then as well. Obviously, Garnacho was the hero of the FA Youth Cup final, and he is absolutely a fantastic player, and he's going to be a Manchester United first team regular in the coming years. So I would, again, I think it does depend on, I would maybe keep him around. I think I'd keep him here this season and see what kind of game time we can get for him. Obviously, I wouldn't be disappointed if he did go out on loan to get game time. I would like to see him maybe at a Premier League club more so than a Champions League club, and but as long as he's getting game time, I think at his age that's most important. He's only 18 or 19 years of age. Now let's see what people are saying before we get on to the attackers. Yeah, so people are saying, let's see, Killian says, will Garnacho go on loan next season? Yeah, so I just mentioned that there. I think maybe he will, and I don't think it'd be much hard for him. Just have the end product. Dallo, maybe Ten Hag can make him a decent player, says Football Sports. Yeah, absolutely. Ken is in and says, watch Garner a lot this season. One of the best championship young players this season. Absolutely. I've watched him a good bit myself, Ken, and I think he could easily slot into that Manchester United team. And like I said, the more options we have in centre midfield this year, the better, because we've basically been playing, McTominay and Fred, squad players, Matic and Mata are leaving, so I do think the more centre midfield players there we can have, the better. Obviously, Donny is coming back as well. But yeah, thanks everyone for putting up all the messages, guys. Make sure you smash a like on the video there as well. Keep the likes coming in. It really helps the channel out a ton. I really appreciate it. And Ken says, McTominay, a championship player. Yeah, I take your point. Superfast says, I could never see United selling McTominay or Rashford. Yeah, I mean, I don't see, performance-wise, Manchester United sold David Beckham, so they sold Nicky Butt, they sold Phil Neville, and these were all products of the youth setup. So, no one is exempt, really, I don't think, and I don't think they should be. Your performance levels have to be up to certain standards, but I totally understand what you're saying there. Ken says, I beg the club to go for James Justin, can play left or right back. New Dennis Irwin, yeah, very good player, absolutely, and wouldn't be a bad addition there at all. And then Albie on YouTube says, I forgot about the Donut Martial, good luck to him too. I like the look of Haller up top, he's a handful. Yeah, absolutely. Again, there's so many options there really is that, and United are going to be linked with the world and their mother over the summer, so we are going to be linked with everyone, and I'm certainly going to be doing videos about players that we're linked with that we could potentially buy, and probably 90% of them we won't get, but as the news breaks and as journalists put out their articles about certain players and who have been linked to it, we just react to that and we make a video and we discuss it as fans and stuff like that. And would we like him? Would we not like him? But the majority of players that we're going to be linked to this year and this summer are not going to sign for Manchester United. So it's going to be interesting to see who we do get in the end. Killian says, where are you from? Great page. Cheers, Killian. I'm from Kilkenny. If you haven't already done so as well, guys, anyone on TikTok, we do have a YouTube channel as well that we do a lot of our videos on. So if you want to go over to YouTube, it's United Community Channel, and subscribe to us there as well. Obviously, the aim is to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're only doing it a few weeks, so we're at about 150. But obviously, we're going to try and build it over the summer for the new season as well. And Ken says, forget the big names. Young, up and coming, hungry players is what we need. Absolutely, agree with you 100% there, Ken. Absolutely. And McGuck says, do you prefer us watching the YouTube or TikTok? But, well, to be honest with you, the YouTube or the TikTok kind of takes care of itself. YouTube is a lot harder to get subscribers on because you basically have to go and search for it, so with TikTok it's kind of very organic, and a lot of the people, and ye included, that have been watching have just been maybe scrolling through and came across my page and followed me from there. So the more people I can get over to YouTube to get subscribed, the faster that'll grow, and the more platforms we can extend onto as well and stuff like that. Because what I would like to do potentially is I would like to keep maybe my watch-alongs for YouTube, and then maybe my news videos like this one I could do on both, so that's the plan. And Mark says, good news, appreciate it. Alfie Patrickson has just signed. Oh, okay, interesting. And Killian says, is there an Insta page? There is, Killian. It's a United Community Channel. So we're United Community Channel on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Twitter. And we're also on Twitch as well. I'm going to be starting I'm going on holidays on the weekend for 2 weeks, and once I get back, I'm going to start maybe a Manchester United career mode on FIFA 22 that we're going to be doing on Twitch. So you can all pop on maybe on the nights and watch us play. And I'm an amateur at FIFA 22, so it should be it should be fun to watch, I'd say. But yeah, let's keep going through them. So we're getting down through the midfielders there. Midfielders are pretty much done. We get on to the forwards. Edison Cavani, obviously he's leaving. He has come out and said he is leaving. So, he has been linked today with Villarreal, have been in for him and potentially looking to sign him for next season. And, look, I like Edison Cavani. I like the way he plays the game. I think he was a very good player for his last season. And I think a number of things kind of went against him. Obviously, when Ronaldo came back, Ronaldo got the number 7 shirt and was taken away from Cavani. Now, look, if it was anyone else coming back, I would say that you're hard done by. But it's at the end of the day, it's Ronaldo, and I don't want to be giving Ronaldo a free pass or anything. But by all accounts, Cavani offered the number back to him. So I think that was the start of it, and then. Obviously, he wasn't getting much game time. He did come out and say that he would have never stayed on for another year if he had known Ronaldo was coming. And basically, when he came back from international duty in February, he just basically down tools and refused to play. So look, it's time for Cavani to go. As much as I did like him, I think it's time for him to go. Chief is in, good to see you, and says, I can't wait to see the transformation in these scumbags. Ole looking from a disaster, like, what the fuck. Yeah, look, I know, and it's going to be interesting to see, is there going to be an uptake in players' performances under the new manager, and what it's going to be like, and how it's going to improve and things like that. And Killian, I just see you followed me there on Instagram. I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what players up their game under the new manager, and I think a lot of them have to. Albie says he likes a big man up top, Ten Hag, and that boy can play. 40 million, no more though. He could play up front on his own or in a 2 with Ronnie. Options. Yeah, absolutely, Albie. I totally agree there. And I think Darwin Núñez is a similar kind of build, and I think that's why United have been linked with him so heavily. Is what you said there, Albie, is that Ten Hag does like a target man. Absolutely. So We're going to move on to a very controversial player here now, and that's Marcus Rashford, and whether he should stay or go. Again, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Should he stay or should he go? Me personally, I think one more season. I think he has one more season left, and if he puts into performances next season like he did this season, then it's time to go. It really is. There has been some reports come out that haven't been so kind about Rashford and what maybe his role in the dressing room was this year. Some of it not so nice. So, look, I think one more season, and I think if he can perform under Ten Hag and if he doesn't get his act together, then regardless of whether he's an academy player and he came up through the ranks, then I would say after one more season it's time to go. So and I don't think any player should be immune from being sold, because if you're not playing up to standards and you're not playing for the jersey you're wearing and you don't put that first ahead of everything, then you shouldn't be playing for Manchester United. So, and again, that's just my opinion there. Mason Greenwood is on the list here as well. I'm not going to get into Mason Greenwood too much because obviously there's a live court case going on, and obviously we'll know a lot more once that is done. Anthony Elanga is next on the list. Obviously, I think Anthony Elanga is a good young player, and I think he has bags of potential. And I think Ten Hag coming in is basically the ideal manager for him. Ten Hag loves to, work with young players, and he loves to progress them and improve them and all that. So Anthony Elanga is a certain stay. Shola Shoretire is next on the list. He's a forward there. I think potentially, obviously I do want him to stay, young prospect, but again, he would be another loan option for me. Jadon Sancho is a stay. He's next. Obviously, I think he had the second half of the season, I think was a lot better than the first half. He did show glimpses of the kind of player he can be, and I'm really, really excited to see what he can do under Ten Hag. He's one of the most, he's one of the players I'm going to be looking at most, to be quite honest with you. And then we have Cristiano Ronaldo, and there has been some people saying that Ronaldo should go. He doesn't fit a system. He doesn't, there's been these reports that he's the cause of the problem in the dressing room, which since then have been basically been negated as bullshit. So I'm all for Ronaldo to stay. I don't think you can get rid of 20. No, he scored 23 goals in the worst Manchester United team basically in history. If we can improve our squad drastically in the summer, why would you get rid of Cristiano Ronaldo and them goals out your squad? So absolutely, I think Ronaldo has bags more goals to give us next season, I think. Let's see what people are saying in the chat here. And Twig says, to be honest, I give him another chance or let him off. I presume that's Rashford. Yeah, look, I'm going to give Rashford one more season, and then I'll make my mind up on him then. But for now, I would, and don't get me wrong, I want to see him do well, regardless of, he just seems to not be enjoying himself at the moment, really, and he has his head down. He seems sulky on the pitch. He doesn't seem happy. There could be things going on in his personal life, who knows? And sometimes that is said, and I'd never belittle the mental health aspect of professional footballers, because it is tough, absolutely. And I would say that, if there was something going on in his personal life, then the 90 minutes on the pitch should be your escape from all that, and it should be how you enjoy yourself. Like Paul Gascoigne used to say it, that, and Paul Merson, where they were in these such difficult times with addiction in their lives, with alcohol and drugs and things like that, that the 90 minutes on the pitch was actually where they felt most safe and where they could enjoy themselves the most. And once that ended, that's when the pressure kicked in. So I think that's the kind of mentality players should have, regardless of what's going on in your personal life, not belittling it in any way, but when you put on that jersey and walk out into Old Trafford, you should be ecstatic every time, and I think that's what some of these players need to get into their game. So Reggie says on the chat there in YouTube, he says, what about Tahith Chong and Amad Diallo? Now, Tahith Chong, I think potentially it's time for him to move on. He's been loaned out now a number of times, and it hasn't really worked. I don't think he's actually... was it Napoli he's been playing with at the moment? And I don't think he's got a look in at all. and he's 22 years of age now. I mean, he's older than Jadon Sancho, so I think maybe it's time for Tahith Chong to move on and get some games. Nothing against the lad, he's a good young lad, and he's he's again an academy player and stuff like that. But I think for his own sake, maybe I think it's time for him to move on. Amad Diallo, I think, could potentially come back in and be a squad player under Ten Hag. Again, these young players are going to benefit so much from having a manager like Ten Hag who just wants to improve, who wants to get out in the training ground and coach day in, day out. And so the more of these kind of fringe players, young lads that are on the verge of maybe loan or staying and getting game time at United, keep him and just let Ten Hag improve him, and just be like that to Cristiano Ronaldo and just ask him a million questions a day and learn. And Reggie says, also, what do you think about the free transfer market? Belotti, Burton Diaz, Kessie, Eriksson, Lacazette. Well, I tell you, Kessie, I think, and Eriksson are the two ones that really stand out for me in relation to the free transfer market. I think United are going to have to go into it in the summer, given the amount of players we're looking to get in because of the players that are leaving. So we do need to be smart in the transfer market. I think Eriksson would be an unbelievable signing. I really do. I think his experience, he's not going to play 40 games in the season in all competitions, but again, as a squad player, options. So I would absolutely be happy to get some of them players in without a doubt. Let's see what people are saying here on TikTok. Keep smashing that like button, guys. I appreciate it. We're up to 3,000 likes on TikTok. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you follow on TikTok. Go over to the YouTube channel and hit subscribe as well. Make sure you don't miss out on any of the content. Twig said, oh no, we read that already. McGuck said, I find it hard to put a price on Rashford. What do you think we'd get from him? I think you'd easily get maybe 50 million for him. Now, if you had another season this year, like in the coming season as he did last season, that would drop to maybe 30 or 40, but I think we'd easily get 50 million for Rashford. Michael says, seeing Alanga getting ripped in the gym, every player should have that mentality. I seen them clips as well, and he is like, when he has the United jersey on, he looks timid nearly, and he looks up. Jesus, he was doing the workouts in the gym in Carrington training ground, and he is absolutely shredded, and he's putting on a lot of muscle on his shoulders as well, which is great to see. But yeah, I think you're dead right, Michael. I think a lot more players should be, like his season has just ended and he's already hitting the gym and doing extra work, so fair play to him. Ronnie is in. Good to see you, Ronnie. Dylan is in as well and said, are you going for Madrid or Liverpool in the Champions League final? I'm going to go with Liverpool, but that's just my head. My head is saying Liverpool, but my heart is saying Real Madrid, because I just think they have this grasp on that Champions League, this love for it, that God only knows what could happen. Let me see. Okay, Lol says, you're my favourite guy on TikTok. Keep up the good work. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Keep tuning in. And Buff says, I think we should bring back Donny. Yeah, Donny is coming back. Absolutely, Donny is coming back. Ten Hag said it in his interview that he's looking forward to working with him on the pitch again. So I think he'll come back. And like we just said, we said it earlier, Buff, in the at the start of the live, that Fernandes doesn't get his act together. If Bruno doesn't get his act together and doesn't play the Ten Hag way, then we have a ready-made replacement in Van de Beek, because he's done it already. So absolutely. Buff says then Eriksson is too old. Well, he's only 30, 31, so I mean, I wouldn't write him off yet. And he says that Jesse is good. I think it's time for Jesse to go. I think he hasn't covered himself in glory in the last few weeks, obviously, with the stuff his brother has come out with and stuff like that. And I don't like his Instagram. He's a social media player. I just don't like that. So yeah, I think it's time for him to go. Twig says, I'd say Rashford for a can of Coke would be a fair deal. And then Buff says, I think we should keep Donny and buy Kessie. Yeah, absolutely, great shout there. But yeah, I mean, in terms of some of the transfer news, then getting onto some of the transfer news, to fly over quick, there's been a small update on Frankie de Jong, and the Frankie de Jong situation, Xavi has come out again and says that Frankie de Jong is a key player for us, but everything depends on our economic situation, and we will see what happens. So it's encouraging to see that he's not coming out and outright saying that we're keeping him. So you know the he is going to be potentially sold by Barcelona this summer. Now, whether he comes to United or not is another thing. The Barca president then also came out and says about has anyone made a proposal, and he came out and said yes, we have received proposals, but he has great quality. We think he should continue at Barca. Everything is open. It will depend a lot on the issues of fair play. So again, that's coming down to financial fair play and whether Barcelona can basically afford to keep him or not. They're going to go out and get Lewandowski, I think, and he's going to cost them a lot of money in terms of wages, maybe signing on bonuses, things like that. So they are going to have to sell players, you know. McGuck says, do you think the lack of Champions League football will deter De Jong from coming to us? I mean, De Jong is young as well, really, isn't he? What is he, 24 years of age? And if anyone is going to convince him to come and sacrifice maybe one season, then I think Ten Hag would be the man for that. So, look, it'll all come down to, you know, other options potentially that he has and how much maybe Ten Hag can convince him, you know. But I wouldn't write it out. I'm still maybe 75% on it, you know. So Dargo says, how's the Twitch going? I done one the other day. Now, obviously, I didn't promote it or put it out there and that, and so there was basically nobody watching it. But I'm just kind of getting everything set up and stuff. But I'm going to start doing proper Twitches now. I'm going to do the Manchester United career mode on it. We'll start it maybe middle of June, I'd say, once I'm back from holidays. And Twig said, I could see Rashford in a Norwich kit. But yeah, appreciate it, guys. Keep smashing that like button as well. Reggie says, we do not look like athletes on the pitch. We need better fitness and to bulk up physically. We'd be ripped up by Bayern and outrun by Liverpool. Yeah, I agree with you there, Reggie. Absolutely. I mean, like, again, there's been some former players of Ten Hag that's come out and has been talking about him coming to Manchester United, and they all, you know, a lot of them are basically saying the same thing. One is that you're going to be thinking about pressing in your head when you sleep. You know, he said, who was it that actually said it? I can't remember who the player was, but he said you're going to be thinking about pressing the ball in your sleep. That's how much Ten Hag focuses on it. And he basically said you're going to have the worst pre-season of your life. He said it's going to be absolutely torture. So it does, you know, by all accounts, it does look like he's going to come back all guns blazing and get him. And he is getting him back early. He's getting him back at the end of June. And he's going to run the fucking arse out of him over in Southeast Asia and in Australia in the heat. So, you know, it's good to hear. Albie says, was very disappointed with Donny van de Beek, but I understand the situation he found himself in at the club. All I didn't buy him, and if he comes back under a manager that loves him, I want to see him grab the chance. Absolutely, I agree. And I'm looking forward to see can he grab the chance, because he just looked like such a deflated player under Ollie, and he just knew he wasn't going to be getting game time, and he knew he wasn't, you know, going to be coming on as a sub, and he looked like a guy that couldn't wait to get out of there. So, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what Van de Beek does next season under Ten Hag, and see can he capture some of the form that he had at Ajax under him. And but sure, look, I mean, there's absolutely no reason to say he can't, you know. So Hurley D followed the host. Appreciate the follow there. Tom Clark is in and says, serious question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how shit is your club? At the moment, we're about I would have said before Ten Hag arrived, we were probably a 3, maybe a 4. But look, Ten Hag is there. I'd say we're up to around 5 at the moment. And depending on signings, let's see how far up we can go. Does that answer your question, Tom? Does it? Yeah, you're probably fucking Liverpool there as well. But look, you're welcome. No problem. I like the banter, so you're more than welcome. Let's see. James is in, says, my Irish bro. Good to see you, James. Thanks for joining again, man. And Jason Hanley is in and says, when do you think the kits will be out? So the kits, I think, I was looking it up today, and I think it's July that they're coming out. Start of July. But again, I don't think there's a specific day on it. End of June, start of July, I think they've they've been tipped to come out. And Simon says, would you try Memphis Depay again if he was available on the cheap? I don't think I would. I don't like going back. I prefer just going with new, young, hungry players. But look, nothing against Depay. I think he's a good player, but I think he's going. I think his time has passed really. Manu Zone says keep or sell Rashford. Yeah, I'm going to keep him for one more season, and if he doesn't improve, then it's going to be move on for me. But look, great to see so many people in on TikTok, guys. Make sure you smash that like button for me if you don't mind, because it really helps the channel out a ton, and it gets us out to more people, and we get to have a better chat. So yeah, keep smashing that like button. We're nearly 3,500 likes there as well. Let's try and get it up to maybe 5,000 before we end. And Ian is then, it says, are you watching Conference League final? No, I won't be watching that, I'm afraid. I'm going to be watching the Champions League final this Saturday. I'm going to be doing a live for that, a live watch along on YouTube from Spain. I'm going to be on my holidays, my first night of my holidays, so we'll be in the sunshine doing it. I have no idea where I'm going to be doing it from in Spain. I'm going to find a little bar or a pub or somewhere, and I can sit in the corner with my laptop and my phone and stuff like that, and we'll just do a live and we'll have a laugh and a chat and see how we get on. Henry says, cheers from Iceland. Oh, good to see you, Henry. You're more than welcome. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to put in any comments or questions you have. And World Nation Fam says, how are you? Not too bad in yourself. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. And Henry says, thoughts on Mark Olbridge? I like Mark Olbridge. I really do. To be honest, he was the first one that I kind of started looking at in terms of fan channels and stuff like that. So look, some of his opinions and ideas are a bit out there, but look, everyone is entitled to their own opinions and stuff like that. But no, I certainly do like him. I watch his videos most days, to be honest, and he kind of invented this watch along fan channel kind of thing. So it's all down to him. Gear says, hi from the Faroe Islands. Hello, you're more than welcome. Thanks for joining. Any likes or any comments or any questions, just feel free to put them up. And Sean says, I'm watching in Western Ukraine. Well, it's great to have you, Sean, and make sure you're keeping safe. I hope everything is okay over there for you, but you're more than welcome. Rashford get married on Instagram, says Sports Football. Dargo says, hi from LA County Jail. Yeah, good one. And Anne says, do you think Maguire could improve under Ten Hag? I think he could. We mentioned it earlier. Depending on maybe the formation that Ten Hag plays, I think he can certainly improve. He gives us options. If we want to play a back three, I think he's certainly better in a back three than he is in a two with two defensive or with two centre backs. So absolutely, he does give us options there. And Evan says, do you want Luke Shaw to start? I think Luke Shaw, if he can stay consistent, and I said it there as well, I think Luke Shaw can potentially be one of the best left backs in the world at times, but he's just too inconsistent, But if he can get his act together and put in a run of games, good performances, absolutely, I wouldn't be against him at all. Clapped chap says, want to be Roy Keane much? I want to be Roy Keane every day of my life. He was my idol growing up. And he's my favourite Manchester United player ever. So, yeah. So, clap on. And Football Sports is not bullshitting he is. Well, that's good for him. Let him off. I certainly wouldn't be getting married on Instagram. Let's see. Henry says, who do you think will improve the most under Ten Hag? Yeah, I've answered this question a couple of times now, and I keep thinking of more players potentially. I think Diego Dalot could potentially improve under him. I think Luke Shaw could. I think Fred could make a big improvement under him. I would hope to think that Bruno Fernandes would. And then you have all of the young players as well that could potentially... and will improve under him because he loves working with young players and improving them. Ricegill says, any comps or giveaways? So I'm doing some thinking into it, and I might potentially give away a new Manchester United jersey when they come out in July, and I'm going to do it with YouTube subscribers. So any new YouTube subscribers, I will look at potentially giving away. Obviously, I'm going to pick them at random, but yeah, if you're a subscriber to both YouTube and TikTok, I will. But look, I'll let you know closer to the time. But it is certainly something that I'm looking into. Ricicles. Dargo says, clapchap from Wexford much. Do you want Luke Shaw to start? Says Evan. Yeah, again, we just mentioned that there. Yeah, I think he should. Mahan says, Pau Torres. Yeah, again, look, links with Pau Torres, and I'm absolutely not against it. I do think there's a lot more competition for Pau Torres than there would be for the likes of Timber. We're getting conflicting reports as well. Some reporters are saying that United are well in for him, and other reports are saying that we're not at all. So, look, I'm going to let that one roll for maybe another few days or maybe a week or so and see what information comes out before I can make a clear opinion. Absolutely, I would love him at the club, though. You know what I mean? No problems. James followed. I appreciate the follow there. Keep smashing that like button, guys. We're nearly at 5,000 likes on TikTok. I really appreciate it. Albie says, nice Saturday night, you bollocks. Have a few Peronis for us. Albie, I certainly will. I'll be in the sunshine. So it's our first holiday away now since COVID, so I'm really looking forward to it, but I appreciate it. Well, Tubbs says, thoughts on the Greenwood situation. To be honest, I don't like really getting into it that much. I'll allow, the courts and his trial to go ahead, and if he's guilty, he's guilty. If he's innocent, then he's innocent, but other than that, I don't really want to say much about it because it's it's sensitive enough that look, let's just see what happens. I don't think he'll play for United again, though, regardless of the outcome. I just think it'd be too much of a distraction for the club. Gierfsaberg says, if he plays a back three, Maguire has to be in the centre. Missy on the left next season. Yeah, man, bad shout there now. Absolutely. I think Maguire would definitely play through the centre. And Evan says, is Maguire coming to United? It certainly looks like the most progressed deal at the moment. I'm pretty sure he's going to be our first signing, to be quite honest with you. It's basically sewn up. I think they're just agreeing on an actual fee and some personal terms, but I think it's pretty much done and dusted. Let's see. Rashford got engaged. Yeah, and Henry says, do you think Ranić will stay next season? I think he's going to stay on in a consultancy role. Obviously, it's a very part-time role, but look, I think when it comes to Ranić, that I don't think we're going to hear an awful lot about Ranić next season or the season after. But that's not a bad thing. I think he could just be tipping away in the background, giving his opinions on players, picking up the phone to Ten Hag. There's this young lad playing with Leipzig or playing with, Real Betis or whoever it is, and just say, look, you need to get on it before, more interest comes. So I think that's what his job is going to be. But I don't expect us to hear an awful lot about Ranić every week or anything like that. And Pap says, if you could take one Liverpool player, who would it be? Fabinho, or take Fabinho in a heartbeat. I think he's an unbelievable centre midfielder, and I think Liverpool are nowhere near as good of a team without him. But yeah, I'd take Fabinho. Obviously, you'd have your Salah and your Mane and all that kind of crack as well, but I think just in terms of stability and what United need, I would take Fabinho. B-Man MUFC says, do you think we could have a new captain start next season? To be honest with you, I don't really know. I think, let's see, captain next season, 103:30. Right, captain next season. Should we have a new captain next season? I don't think it would be any harm. Two reasons for that. I think Harry Maguire has been undermined an awful lot this season by players in the dressing room. Three reasons. Second reason, I think it would take an awful lot of pressure off of Harry Maguire if he was no longer the captain and he got to focus on his own game, And, I mean, how can anyone else captain a side when Ronaldo is in it and trying to tell Ronaldo to come on now, Ronaldo. I just think Ronaldo should be given. And I'm not an overly big Ronaldo fanboy or anything like that. If Ronaldo wasn't pulling his weight, I'd be saying right, we'll drop him. But I mean, he's won everything. He's the greatest goal scorer in the history of the game. He's a Man United legend. I just think he should be given the captaincy for the next season, and then let maybe 2 or 3 potential captains battle it out. Not battle it out, but put their names forward and put their performances forward for captain. Then when Ronaldo eventually leaves, that's what I would personally do. Mickey is in and says we definitely will have a new captain. Ten Hag will want his own choice leading the team and his play style and discipline. So yeah, there you go. I mean, it's going to be interesting, absolutely. Albi says Fabinho, Van Dijk all the way, man. Ronnie captain next season. Yeah, so there you go. Well, look, I mean, it would be a toss between Van Dijk and Fabinho, but I just think Fabinho is just unbelievable. Gareth says I have Varane and Timber. I'd have Varane and Timber in centre back. So would I. Yep, that would be my first choice pair in there. McGuck says Rome are 1-0 up. Yeah, I was debating whether I should do a watch along for the Roma game, but I just didn't really have the time. Although I'm saying that, I'm running way over time here. But I'm just enjoying the chats here. But yeah, keep smashing that like button, guys. I really appreciate it. We're at 5,500 likes there. We'll get through some of the last comments and we'll wrap it up. But I'm really enjoying the chat so far. Keep smashing that like button. We'll try and get to 6,000 likes. Let's see. Gerf says Ronaldo needs to get the armband ASAP. Yeah, there you go. And Kevin is in and says, have you got a small wood? No, I have a 3 wood and a 5 wood in my golf bag. But yeah, let's see. And yeah, so let's just run through a final bit of, obviously, yeah, the United have been linked as well with, like I mentioned there, Danjuma from Villarreal, the Dutch winger. And in relation to this, I mean, he is a good player, and I think he would be a good signing for Manchester United. But I think United are kind of keeping all their options open here. And again, like I said previously, the fact that we're going to be linked with so many players this year, 90% of them won't be signing for us. So I think he would be a good addition, but I think that's potentially just United keeping their options open if they don't get maybe their first choice. Anthony is another option that we've been talking about. Again, I would love Nkunku. But it's going to be interesting to see which ones we actually get. Let's see, and what else have we got here? Manchester United we're keeping tabs on Nordi Mukulele as well. But again, we mentioned that in the previous video as well. But the defender has now open talks with RB Leipzig about extending his current contract. So that looks like it's off the cards as well. And getting on to, again, we mentioned defenders and we mentioned fullbacks, and it is there was reports today from Football League World, which basically covers the all of the championship teams, that Manchester United are keen on Norwich City Max Aarons, and that actually Norwich are eyeing Man United's Ethan Laird as a possible replacement coming in the opposite direction. So there is plenty of talk there in relation to defenders and fullbacks especially. So, but again, look, these will start to pick up pace the more, I suppose, the closer that these deals do get. So it's going to be there's nothing really on paper yet. Mickey says, as much as we are linked with a lot of players, I think we can't go crazy with so many Dutch players. So yeah, look, I agree with you there 100%, Mickey. And the last thing United want to do is turn out to be Ajax, But look, I'm certain Ten Hag is not going to be like that. I think he understands, and I read his interview about. He was interviewed about when Pep Guardiola came to the Premier League and he won nothing in his first season, and Ten Hag said that he was surprised that Guardiola didn't adapt as quickly as he did, or as he should. And I think that just goes to show how prepared Ten Hag does seem to be. Now look, That doesn't mean he's going to be successful in his first season, but it certainly means that he understands the league and he doesn't want just to copy and paste his Ajax team into Manchester. So I certainly think that's it's it's good to hear. Let's see. Um, let's see. I'll just try and go back through some of this here. McGuck said, what actually are Timber's qualities? I've never seen him. Is he quick or good on the ball? He's unbelievable on the ball. He would be a very good ball playing centre back. He's well able to come out with the ball and actually take on players as well. So he is very good with the ball at his feet. Henry says, a bit off topic, but would you rather have prime Ronaldinho or prime Henry? Ronaldinho, all day. All day. Sideman is in. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining us again. Rocky is in. I actually feel bad for Man United fans. Us LFC fans were the same boat a couple of years ago. And look, I mean, you're 100% right there. And, Rocky, it's... but I always said it about Liverpool, in the 90s and 2000s and stuff like that. They were too big of a club not to come back and not regain their top status. And Manchester United are the same. Manchester United are going to win the league again. It might not be this year, it might not be next year, it might not be the year after, but they will eventually. They will come back and they will be the top team in England again. We just need it. Just how quickly we can do it is the question on everyone's lips. Twig said, "Is your YouTube the same as TikTok?" It is. Manchester United, United Community Channel on all of my accounts. So YouTube, TikTok, Instagram and Twitter and Twitch. So United Community Channel on all of them, and you'll see my profile picture is the same on all of them as well. So it's hard to miss. Sideman says Maguire needs to go. Yeah, we were discussing that already. I'd give him another year, and he does give options there in different, maybe a 3 at the back. Ricey says, will McSauce stay? I think he will this year. But I think if he doesn't improve his game big time, he'll next summer might be a bit dodgy for him. Sideman followed. I really appreciate it there. Mr. Chip said United are absolutely dirt. Well, we have been this season. That's certainly true. But let's hope we've turned the corner. Jeff says United signed a manager. You'd think they'd have signed the biggest saviour. Well, I mean, that's the same with every manager. Liverpool were doing that for 30 years, saying each manager was going to win them a league. So, I mean, it's just natural. Berry says, Ten Hag going to fail miserably or massively, can't wait. Well, that remains to be seen. We'll certainly find out. Let's just see. I'm not missing any here. McGuck says, do you know when the second half of Ten Hag's interview comes out? Actually, I don't. Actually, I didn't see something I must look into because it'd be interesting because we'll do a video on it. You won't, let's see, Daily Ball says you won't get Marco Overmars in, so won't really turn into Ajax as he was mainly the brains behind it. Well, that's a good point as well. Absolutely, I agree with you there. Football Sport says have a shave. Are you able to grow a beard, yeah? I'll shave when I want. Berry says Steve McCartney, by the way. I presume you mean Steve McLaren. I'm delighted with Steve McLaren, to be honest with you. Steve McLaren wasn't an overly good manager, but he was an unbelievable coach, and he was a coach during the most successful season in any English football team's history in '99. So I'm happy with him being there. Peter is in and says, I've been a Liverpool fan since '84. I never thought in 1990 that I'd have to wait 30 years. Yeah, there you go. And I mean, let's just hope United don't have to wait that long, and the one thing that I've been disappointed with United, especially this season, is that Liverpool in the 90s and in the 2000s, they weren't winning Premier Leagues or anything like that, but they always gave you never got an easy game off them. And that's what I've been disappointed with United with so much this season, is that we've just been turned over so much. So all respect to Liverpool in that. Rocky says, I think he bought too many individual players opposed to team players. Yeah, it's certainly in the past. I agree with you there. And that's why, when people ask me, do you think we should go for the likes of Dybala and things like that, I would say stay away. Get these young, hungry players that want to make a name for themselves and that are looking, to sign their first big contracts and stuff like that, and are just coming up. So absolutely, I see Barca interested in Max Sauce. Well, they can fucking have him. They can have him for free. Erik Ten Hag will be a flop, says Mac Paul. Well, sure, look, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Peter says, all I'll say is the likes of Man U and Arsenal got stronger, we got weaker. It's a long road. Yeah, and look, I mean, it's going to be difficult to get up there with Liverpool and Manchester United, or Manchester City again. But, I mean, like Ten Hag said, like Ten Hag said, all eras do have to come to an end. And to be honest with you, look, I'm trying to be as level as possible and as down the line and not be biased and stuff. But I'm finding it fucking hard not to get carried away with Erik Ten Hag. I really, really like him. I like the way he's not funny. I like the way he probably doesn't have a sense of humour. He wouldn't be a kind of a lad you'd go for a pint with. But who cares? He looks like he knows what he wants, and let's hope he knows how to get it. Ronnie is in. Good to see you, Ronnie. Robbie says, would you take Herrera back? Again, I'm not a fan of going back. But Herrera certainly is. I love the way he plays. I love he wears his heart on his sleeve. So, let's see. Joe says, United are terrible. Ha, 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 ha. Up the Champions League winning Reds. You haven't won it yet, son. You haven't won it yet. Twig says, don't give away Max Sauce for free. They're at least half a dairy milk. Joe says, I like the way you lot won't be winning anything anytime soon. McMahon says, Chris Smalling in a Euro Cup final. Yeah, there you go. Chris Smalling. He certainly has improved an awful lot since he went to Roma, so fair play to him. Dean is in and says, hey man, who do you expect our first signing to be? Again, mentioned Dean, I think it's going to be Timber. But it looks pretty much a done deal. Anything on YouTube? I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting you guys there as well. If you have time, what system would you want him to play next season with the personnel, with Timber coming in there? I think a 4-2-3-1 is going to be the way. But again, there's options there. You could potentially play a 4-3-3. It all depends on the signings we get. Mickey says, I will be happy if we are contending top 4 for the first season. It's an improvement and gets the team together in its back. Absolutely. Top 4, happy days. If we finish outside the top 4, I'd be happy with 5th or 6th and potentially winning the Europa League. I would nearly prefer that than finishing top 4, because I think winning a piece of silverware really gives confidence to the squad. 3rd or 4th place has to be the aim, says Albi, and a few good cup runs, but top 4 is number 1. Yeah, absolutely. And let's see what people are saying here. It will be the same shit, different day, says Andrew. Tony says, we should have got the Tottenham manager when we had the chance. I mentioned this again in a previous video that it's actually one of my TikToks if you scroll back through them, Ten Hag or Conte. And I think Conte would have been a band-aid on a wound more so than, Ten Hag is maybe the stitch that you need. Ten Hag is in it for the long run, and he's a long-term. It's going to be a long-term project rebuild. Whereas I think Conte would have just been a short-term stay and would have moved on as quickly as he does everywhere else. Let's see what other people are saying. McGuck says, even Ten Hag doesn't win us titles, I do feel he's going to greatly improve and feels inevitable. Yeah, I agree with you. Joe says, Luis Diaz is bigger than your club. Yeah, good one. McMahon, most players come to us and get worse and get better when they leave. Well, we haven't improved any player really in the last 5 or 6 years, I don't think. But I'm looking forward to that changing under Ten Hag, because Ten Hag seems to be the kind of manager that's actually on the training ground every day looking to improve players, so that's something I do think we can look forward to. Peter says, man, you haven't had a manager in 4 years. What do you expect? Ten Hag will steady the ship. Yeah, I agree there. Joe says, top 4, you'll finish 7th. How does it feel to see both your rivals dominating? Well, you've only dominated the cup, Joe, so far this season. The cups, I mean, Phil Jones has the same amount of Premier League medals as your whole club does. So, jog on, kid. Twiggs says Ronaldo and De Gea have both got an injured back from carrying us all season. Yeah, that's a great point, man. RNG says Man United is what is wrong. Man U, what is wrong with them at the minute? They were unbeatable at one point. Yeah, and look, I mean, Everton seems to... Look, Everton comes to an end eventually, and United were never going to stay on top forever. Just like Liverpool and Man City won't stay on top forever. So, need a new squad first. How many players do you think he's going to get rid of? I would say 7, 8 maybe. I think easily. But yeah, let's keep smashing a like on the video, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for everyone who's in. I'm enjoying a bit of banter between different fans there and different clubs are in. So, I mean, you're all welcome. It's all a bit of a laugh and a crack. So, but yeah, make sure you smash that like button. Elton is in. Good to see you again. Would you take... Oh, here we go again. Would you take Mbappe for 12 million if he could only use his left leg and had no Will E? You asked me that question on Monday as well, and I answered it. I said yes, I would. The Glazers are undervalued. Milner, mate. 2 to 3 trophies won this season. Kid, what are you chatting? Well, I'm chatting. You've only won 2 cups. You still haven't won the league. You've won 1 league in 32 years, so just, you know. Harry says, not even dominated them, drew 0-0 in both. And Mr. Monk says, Harry Maguire, the best defender in the world, even stops his own team players from getting through. And then Twig said, I just realised that Phil Jones thing. I mean, it's true. Phil Jones has the same amount of Premier League wins as the whole of Liverpool Football Club. So, I mean, it's just, you know, Phil Jones is the man. Hope he gets rid of most of the players Man U needed, says RNG. Yeah, I agree with you. Harry says, going to be hilarious when Liverpool do their bus tour Monday with just a League Cup and FA Cup. I can't wait. Now, and you've not won anything for years. We haven't, no, and I absolutely agree. Got steamroll at Anfield, we did, and Old Trafford, we did. But you still have only the FA Cup and the Farmers' Cup this season, so, and no league again. I think Klopp has been a failure. I mean, his I suppose his priority at the start of the season was to win the league, and he failed. So, Elson, will you stop talking numpty here now? I swear to God, man. McGuck says Solskjaer spent more time on top of the Premier League this season than Klopp. He actually did. Yeah, Manchester United spent more time at the top of the table this season than Liverpool. So, you know, if you're not first, you're last. Let's see now. Ronan is in and says, did you see who Spurs are trying to sign? They have been linked with Pau Torres as well, but outside of that I haven't really been keeping tabs on it. Let's see now. Who do you think will be winning the Champions League? I think Liverpool will win it. I do think Liverpool will win it. I think they'll be too strong. Now, again, I'm not 100% sure on what players they have injured or what players are back, but I do think they will win it. But again, like I said, you just can never count Real Madrid out. They just have this thing in the Champions League that, you know, you can never write them off. K. Palinchak says, Bruno is better number 8 and we need a number 10. Yeah, I'd agree. Bruno seems to be getting a bit of a free roll this season, which I don't like. I don't think Ten Hag will allow him to do it either. Ronan says Bastoni, McKennie and Kostic. Yep, I mean, I would take any of them. And let's have a look. See you, Joe. Take care, bud. Are the lads I've seen they're interested in? And Tony says, I think Andrea, and I can't pronounce that name, was the best winger we've had. Oh, Kanchelskis, sorry, was the best winger we've ever had, but no one talks about him. He was certainly a fantastic player. And then Chelsea are trying to buy Kane. That is never going to happen. I'd be very surprised if he went to anyone in London. Really would. Um, let's see what the lads are saying on YouTube here. Mickey says Ten Hag is the right man. His mentality towards the sport is what United need. They need the firm hand, absolutely. And Albie says Ten Hag, he seems serious and straight to the point and brave. He showed his bravery already. Done in the cream suit and the presser, absolutely. And he says Klopp is a great cup manager. Yeah, well, that's statistics don't lie on that one. And then Mickey says, yeah, Klopp getting manager of the season was a joke. Pep should have got it. And then Andy Butler is in and says, I wouldn't keep a single player in the whole squad. Well, even if that was the case, Andy, I don't think we could really deal with getting rid of them all. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. But let's give it maybe 2 to 3 transfer windows and we slowly but surely get them out. McGuck says, did you see the press release from Spurs about the 150 million they'll spend? Very weird. Well, I think, McGuck, the only reason I think they're going, and they are going to spend it, I really do think they are. I think the only reason they're giving that, or they're putting that much money forward, is to keep Conte. Ronan has shared the video. I appreciate the share there, Ronan. Thanks a lot. Let's just make sure I don't miss any of them here. Smiley says Spurs are better than Man United. Well, they are this season. They finished in 4th. Capel and Chak says we need a number 10 that can break down a defence. See what Coutinho does for Villa. Yeah, absolutely agree with you there. Next season will be tight for a lot of teams. Yeah, I do think so. There's going to be a lot of money spent. There is going to be a lot of money spent, so it's going to be interesting. Vinky says, my mate Billy said Ten Hag has already made communication with Messi. Thoughts? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Wouldn't mind Dybala on a free. Nah, I don't think so. These big name signings I'm not really into. I'd rather we just got the young hungry players, to be honest. Faheen says sell McFred. Yeah. And then RNG says, when is someone going to buy Chelsea now that they've ran out of money? It's going to be done this week. The British or the UK government have approved it this week. Tony says, I think the new manager will do well as long as Alex Ferguson stays out of it. Yeah, it's a good point there. Capel Chak says, Timber, too small for centre back. No, I don't think so. I think he'll be okay. And then Archie says, are you watching the Conference League? I'm not watching the Conference League at the moment. I'm afraid I won't be. I'm only going to be doing a watch along for the Champions League final. I might do is the Championship playoff final this weekend as well. I think it's Saturday as well, but I'm only going to be doing the Champions League one, I think. Paul says United Revolution on the way. Hopefully, Paul, but look, all signs are pointing in the right direction, so hopefully. Sparky says Arsenal are apparently getting 250 million to spend. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of teams now just going to be pumping money in because the competition is so high for 4th place. Let's see, Kevin is in. Good to see you, Kevin. And Albie, Eddie Howe was my manager of the year. Yeah, absolutely. I think he done fantastic. But guys, if you're watching on TikTok, I'd really appreciate it if you go over to YouTube, and it's United Community Channel. We're live there as well. I'd really appreciate it if you went over there and subscribed to our YouTube channel, because we're going to be doing a lot of content over the summer on YouTube as well. So I'd really appreciate it if you popped over there and gave us a subscribe so you don't miss out. And obviously follow us on TikTok as well if you haven't already done so. But look, guys, we've been going for an hour and a half now. It's after flying by. I really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I really enjoyed the chat and the banter with some of the opposition fans as well. So yeah, I really appreciate it. We're going to finish up. I'll be doing I'm not going to have we usually do a Friday night transfer show, but I'm actually going to be traveling. I'm going to be traveling to Spain on my holidays, so I won't be doing a Friday night transfer show this week. So we're going to be doing a watch along for the Champions League final all the way from Spain. Again, like I said, I don't know whereabouts I'm going to be doing it in Spain. It's going to be somewhere in Spain. We're going to be watching the Champions League final, Liverpool versus Real Madrid. I'm going to try and find maybe a little small bar that I can get into and go live on. But I'm sure there's going to be Spanish people there as well. See whether they're shouting from Madrid. We'll try and get some interactions with other people as well. So, make sure you tune in for that. Like I said, go over to the YouTube channel as well. If you're on TikTok here, I see there's nearly 90 people in, so I really appreciate it. Head over to YouTube, to United Community channel, and make sure you subscribe there, because we're going to have our live watch along of the Champions League final. We're going to be in Spain for it. So, like I said, it's a surprise to me as much as it's going to be to you. So make sure you go over and subscribe and follow, and we'll see where we end up in Spain, watching it on Saturday in some random little Spanish bar, and we'll have a laugh. But look, lads, it's been great. I really appreciate everyone who's been in. Thanks for all the likes, comments, shares. There's been some gifts on TikTok as well. People have been donating roses and gifts and stuff like that as well. So I really appreciate it. And but yeah, thanks for following along, and we'll see you on Saturday from Spain.